The St. James Church Massacre was a massacre perpetrated on St. James Church in Kenilworth, Cape Town, South Africa, on 25 July 1993 by 4 cadres of the Azanian People's Liberation Army. 11 members of the congregation were killed and 58 wounded. In 1998 the attackers were granted amnesty for their participation by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Massacre. The attack occurred during the Sunday evening service. Sikhu Misa Nonzuba, Bati Mumberzi, Gisanahaya Makoma and Tabela Malambasa approached the church in a vehicle stolen by Malambasa and Makoma beforehand. Nonzuba, who commanded the unit, and Makoma entered the church armed with M26 hand grenades and R4 assault rifles. They threw the grenades and then opened fire on the congregation, killing 11 and wounding 58. One member of the congregation, Charles Van Vick, who wrote a book about the event, returned fire with a .38 special revolver, wounding one of the attackers. At this point they fled the church. Mumberzi had been ordered to throw 4 petrol bombs into the church following the shooting, but abandoned this intention as all 4 fled in the vehicle. Members of the congregation killed were Guy Cooper Javins, Richard Oliver O'Kill, Gerhard Dennis Harker, Wesley Alfonso Harker, Denise Gordon, Myrtle Jones Smith, Marita Ackerman, Andre Kale, Karamjeen Oleg, Varaxa Valentin and Pavel Valyut. The last 4 on this list were Russian seamen attending the service as part of a church outreach program. Another Russian seaman, Dmitry Makogan, lost both legs and an arm in the attack. Similar attacks. APLA cadres were held responsible for several similar attacks. Among these were the attack on King William's Town Golf Club on 28 November 1992 in which 4 people were killed, and the attack on the Heidelberg Tavern in Observatory, Cape Town on 31 December 1993, in which 4 people were killed. Ballistic tests showed that the same rifles were used in the St. James and Heidelberg Tavern attacks. Arrest and trial. Makoma was arrested 10 days later and convicted for 11 murders. He was sentenced to 23 years in prison. Nonzuba, Malambasa and Mumberzi were subsequently arrested and charged in 1996. They had in the meantime joined the South African National Defence Force as part of the integration of APLA operatives into the new National Defence Force. In 1997, while on trial, Nonzuba, Malambasa and Mumberzi appealed to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission for amnesty. Together with Makoma, they were granted bail pending their appearance before the TRC. Nonzuba died in a car accident while on bail. Amnesty. Makoma, Mumberzi and Malambasa were all granted amnesty for the St. James Church attack by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. As a result, Makoma was freed after serving only 5.5 years of his sentence, and the trial of Mumberzi and Malambasa was never completed. In this and other APLA amnesty hearings, APLA operatives claimed that they were following their orders and that they regarded all whites as legitimate targets as they were complicit in the government's policy of apartheid. In statements made to the representatives of St. James Church, they did however say that they were unaware that the selected target was a church until they arrived in Kenilworth. Dorvey Ackerman, husband of one of the victims, noted that perhaps 35 to 40% of the congregation were people of color, with the counsel for the APLA saying they had assumed all congregants would be white as the church was in a white area. Letlapa Mefalil, National Director of Operations for APLA, took responsibility for ordering the attacks as part of his application for amnesty. He claimed that he had authorized attacks on white civilians following the killing of 5 schoolchildren by the Transkei Defense Force in Umtata. Amnesty in such cases was typically granted in terms of the TRC's mandate because the crimes were politically motivated. with the perpetrators following the orders of the APLA commanders, and full disclosure was made to the TRC. Although amnesty was granted to the individual perpetrators, the TRC found that the act itself, and other APLA-PAC attacks specifically targeting civilians, were a gross violation of human rights, and a violation of internal, humanitarian law. Reconciliation. Several of the church members who were injured or who lost family members in the attacks, as well as Charles Van Vick, who had returned fire on the attackers, later met and publicly reconciled with the APLA attackers. Later developments. On 27 August 2002, Jason Makoma was arrested along with 6 others following a cash-in-transit heist of a Standard Bank cash van in Constantia, Cape Town, in which $1.8 million was stolen. He and the others were later acquitted, with the magistrate finding that the prosecution case had been badly put together and that documents had been falsified by an investigating officer. Jason Makoma was eventually found guilty on 16 February 2012 of murder and robbery and sentenced to life and 46 years in prison for his role in a December 2007 cash van heist in Parov, Cape Town. In October 2004, Charles Van Vick became one of the founding members of Gun Owners of South Africa, an online civilian gun rights ownership group, which is also involved in public demonstrations against the Firearms Control Act.